So the FLW at Barkley was an interesting experience for me. I knew going in, having never fished there before, that I didn't have the time in pre-fish to run 100 miles of shoreline, and since the tournament launch was at State Park in Barkley, I knew that losing 2 hours of fishing time every day one way to run up to Kentucky Lake, it just wasn't going to work for my program. So what I decided to do is I was going to find some bass in Barkley, Lake Barkley. And gosh, the very first day I was there, I was nerved up, and we just come off the FLW tour event there, and fishing was tough, except unless your name was Jason Lambert. And I thought, well, I'm just going to dive into Lake Barkley and see what happens. Fished shallow early because that hurricane had just come through, and there's a lot of high water and lots of muddy water. And spinnerbait worked early and worked shallow great. And I caught some nice fish in practice early on that, but I knew that pattern wasn't going to hold. So what I did is I just went out and found some isolated ledges in Lake Barkley, and thought, well, I'm going to gamble on the fact that most of these folks are going to feel pressured to run to Kentucky Lake, which they did. I ended up fishing in Lake Barkley by myself 9 days in a row, practice, tournament time, whatever it might be, and really got a good bite dialed in on a ledge. What was tough for me is I had day one of the tournament, I lost almost a 6-pounder 20 feet from the boat. And wouldn't you know it, day two, I came out there, same ledge, same great spot, no boat traffic, I had no excuses. And threw out, and sure enough, son of a gun hit that 3/4 ounce jig and lost him 30 feet from the boat on my very first cast of the day. Some might say that's bad luck to catch fish in your first cast. I would have loved to have that 5-pounder. The weights were so stacked up at that Kentucky Lake that I basically gave the lake back, let's call it 11 pounds, and would have been in a much different position. Regardless of the fact, I was super happy fishing on a lake I'd never been to with a bunch of guys that were sticks on that lake, just legends on that lake. Sam Lashley, Jason Lambert, here we go, the list goes on and on and on. And I'm just trying to be respectable and get out of there with my head held high. Tournament wrapped up okay for me. Day two was a little bit tough. But all in all, my experience there ledge fishing on Lake Barkley, it's a great fishery, and I would encourage those who see that lake pop up, don't feel pressured to run up into that canal and run up there into Kentucky Lake where you're sitting there playing bumper boats with everybody and their neighbors who've all shared information and spots. I fished Lake Barkley. I never had a boat within 3 miles of me in a week and a half. So it was a great tournament. Really enjoyed my time there. The FLW did a great job. The State Park Resort there did a nice job. Thanks to Ron Lapp and all of his team. With Ron retiring this year, fishing's losing a really important player and an advocate for fishermen. He treats every one of those guys like they're his children, and I'm really going to miss him next year. So the primary baits that I used at Lake Barkley was a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait, a 3/4 ounce pepper jig with a ridge craw trailer and green pumpkin, and every once in a while I broke out a buzz bait. But primarily the big fish were coming on the 3/4 ounce pepper jig. On day two, I had a problem. I missed a fish on the first cast, as I mentioned, and then I moved locations and I went and fished inside of a bay in a ditch. And the very first cast on that, I also missed a fish. So now I got 3 lost fish at this point on that same bait. I retied it, changed baits, but the same principle occurred. So I thought, you know what, I've got a real comfort bait that I like in that situation. And I went to a 1/4 ounce jig and on a green pumpkin trailer, nipped off a couple buds off the end, and son of a gun, there we go, fish on. Now I'm on a confidence bait, and I thought we had something going. Drained the hole pretty good. That ditch held up for 2 days up there. But those are the 3 baits I primarily focus on: the spinnerbait, and then 2 types of jigs. I did throw around a little bit, a 10-inch worm, Texas rigged. Had a couple bites, but they were not fully committed, biting off ends, just playing around. I think that 1/4 ounce jig on the second day, when the fishing was much tougher, gave me a slightly better advantage, especially because that's a bait I'm so comfortable throwing.